Welcome back to Upcycled, Crafted for a Purpose. Today we're going to talk about how God has our worth and value handled, and we're going to make handled pendants, because sometimes we try to earn our worth or prove our worth or make God feel like we deserve His love, and that isn't how God's love and grace works. He is the one who has all of our worth, all of our redemption handled for us. And this project can help remind us that we can't earn our salvation. We can't earn God's love. We do what we do because we love God, not because we have to in order to prove or earn something. So this is our good news that we get to keep and share and wear. And when people ask us about it when we're wearing it, we can actually share that good news and say, God has my value, my identity, all of my worth handled. So here are some of the materials that we're going to be using today, and this is part of one of the chapters in Upcycled, Crafted for a Purpose. You will need some old silverware, and I found some pieces at an old antique shop for like $3 a piece, but you may have some laying around that are mismatched, that are no longer part of a set. You can use those, and that's part of upcycling. You could maybe find some at Goodwill, but a lot of people are looking for these for crafts, so they're not as available at Goodwill as I thought they would be. But check out your antique shops, and the shabbier the antique shop, the easier it is to find these for cheap. So like I said, I found them at a local antique shop for a really good deal, like $3 a piece. And you can choose to get silver or you can choose to get cheap ones. I'll tell you, the cheap ones are the easiest ones to cut, but the silver ones and the antique ones are the prettier designs on the handles. So make sure that you pick whatever it is that you're going to want to wear or donate or give as a gift. And these are wonderful gifts that you can give for birthdays, for holidays. They are wonderful gifts for graduation. They're gifts for people that just need a lift up. So here's some of the other things that we're going to need. You will need actually a hacksaw that's good for metal, and I chose a small one because they're easier to manipulate and use in my small spaces, and I like this. It's got a comfortable handle on it, not super expensive. I also chose to get myself a little clamp-on removable vice grip. Now you might be able to do this without that, but I just thought this made it so much easier to work with the silverware while it's being held still. And you're going to need some pliers and some wire cutters. You might want to have some JB Weld if you want to make it extra strong on there. Now depending on what kind of attachment you choose to use, you will either need some jewelry wire, and you can get the thicker wire and bend it, but I found that the thinner wire, like an 18 or 20 gauge wire, is actually better. You will need a necklace to put it on at the end, and if you want, these are optional, you can have some little embellishments, you can have some jewels. I might just add this old broken thing from a piece of jewelry that doesn't work anymore. So whatever it is that you want to add to the end, you can have that. You'll want to have a file that's good for metal. There's different files for metal and for wood because you'll want to smooth out the edges so they're not sharp after you cut them. And if you're going to drill into the actual handle to make a jump ring, and that's how you're going to attach it to the necklace, you'll need some jump rings, and you will need a drill with the right shape and size of drill bit. And you'll need some place to use that drill where it's safe. I did make an attempt at drilling a hole and I got it a little bit off center, so just keep that in mind. That's the tricky part about using the drill. You'll probably want to do better at measuring ahead of time than I did. So I could probably pull this off and show you, but my drill hole is a little bit off to the side. It wasn't exactly centered. So I decided for our purposes today, because it's pretty simple to see how to do it when you drill a hole and you put a jump ring in, that's not something you need a tutorial on, but you might need to know how to actually wrap the jewelry wire. I did. I had to kind of look up several different people's ways of doing that. So let's get started. What you'll do is you'll take your piece of jewelry that you got, and then you'll take and clamp it down if you're going to use a clamp. And I really liked clamping it down. That made it work a lot better. Now, you want to determine how long you're going to want your piece of jewelry to be at the end. So you might want a shorter piece, so you'll cut it off there if you want a shorter piece, or even shorter than that. Or you might want to have a longer piece. This is a little bit longer because I like that sleek design where it's plain. You could glue some gems in there at the end if you wanted to keep it sleek. You can see, like, you would think this would be really difficult, but it's actually not as hard as it looks like it might be. So once you get it going, see how I get it going? At first you're not going to make as much progress, but once you get it going and you can stay in that same groove, stay there. Because it really works better if you stay in the same groove and you don't remove the saw. So at a certain point, this will break right off. Okay, see? And it's not exactly perfect, but once you release it from your vise clamp, your next step is going to be to see how jagged that is on the end. You'll want to kind of, and make sure it's over something that you can throw away. So you can catch all the metal filings and they don't end up on your floor, especially if you're inside. And this is sort of similar to the way that God works with us when He takes off the pieces of our lives where we have decided to try to do everything ourselves. Sometimes we're left with a little bit of a jagged edge, and the Lord's going to have to smooth that out with us. And we'll have to kind of listen and watch Him to see what we really need to do to smooth that out. Now, you might have a Dremel tool that has an attachment on it that is much more efficient than using a hand file. Be really careful of how sharp these edges are. They can cut you. So if you're working with children, just be really careful about that. You can take this and check it with a paper towel. Make sure it's not going to cut anything. And if it feels like it's snagging the paper towel, you're probably not doing it. Now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to wrap your end with jewelry wire. If you chose not to actually pierce it with a drill hole and use the jump ring. So what you'll notice here is there's a lot of curly cues on here. That actually holds it steady better. So, like I said, you just take your wire, and if you start with some curly cues, that gives you something to work with. And it's also a little bit decorative. See how cute that is? But it gives you something to kind of hold the wrapping on. So as you're working, you'll start with the curlicue side and just start wrapping. And wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap as tightly as you can. And you're going to also make a curlicue at the top, so that you have something to hang your jump ring on, or to hang it onto your necklace. So what you'll do next, after you've got everything tightly wound, you might want to wind it more than once. And what I would like to do is I would actually like to create a little twist at the top. So I'm going to take and make like a little twisty loop here. And then after I've made that little twisty loop at the top, which doesn't look exactly perfect, and that's okay, because I'm going to fix it later. I go back and I twist it again a little bit more. Oops. Came off the end. And then when you're done, you'll want to cut the wire and make another twisty loop at the end to hold it steady. So as you can see, I've finished all my twisty loops and I've looped it around. You'll either want to hammer it with a hammer, or if you already have a vice grip, you can use the vice grip to hold it still, to squish it flat. And squishing, again, my technical term of squishing, it's an important technical term. Squishing this flat, hammering the wire in place, is what holds the wire onto the piece. Even if you're using JB Weld or another jewelry type of glue, hammering this is really going to hold it a little more secure. So once you tighten that in your vice grip as tight as you can get it, then you can get one of your jump rings. And these are really easy to get on Amazon. They're not expensive at all. You can find them in a jewelry shop, but they're probably going to cost more there. Just depends on your jewelry shop. So the trick with a jump ring is to not pull it apart, but to twist it side to side. Okay, so we have this lovely pendant, and you can add all kinds of things on there as you choose. I'm going to add to this my little extra thing here and have that be part of it, and that'll be easy to add on. All I have to do is add it to the jump ring right there. It's already got its own little jump ring on it. Or you could take some pendants that you buy, like say you want to use one of these kind of pendants, and add it on there. You can do. Okay, and we're back with Upcycled, crafted for a purpose, and I have a completed pendant for you. I added a little bit of a charm to it. You don't have to, you can do whatever you like. Then the last step is to put it on your necklace. You can use an existing necklace that you don't have a charm for, or you can go out and get a cheap necklace in the craft store or in the craft section of your discount store. Or sometimes you can find discounted necklaces at even like a Goodwill or something along those lines. But just like that, you could make it into a choker, and then you're done. And I hope that this project helps you remember how God has your worth and your purpose and your significance and your beauty handled. So you don't have to worry about working out all the things that God gives you when you become an heir of Christ. So thank you for joining us today. I look forward to having you come back and join us on Upcycled, Crafted for a Purpose, or get the book and follow along with us in the book. Come back to tinayeager.com or here on the YouTube channel to join us for lots more content and lots more inspiration.